Welcome back, fans and friends, for this upcoming video. It's going to be very similar to this one here. So this is the 1968 Mercury Cougar XR-7G. The G standing for Dan Gurney, but the Cougar, obviously, the Mustang's higher end stablemate from Ford. And the XR7 is the highest trim in terms of decoration and practicality. And the 390 is obviously not the largest, but one of the larger V8s offered in its class and year, and you can just see there air filter. So why is that important for this video? Well, they just released this version of it, and it is nearly the exact same car, XR-7G. You can see there the highest trim, but instead of the 390 we have here the 302, which replaced the 289 on the entry level for this year of the car. Features like the hood and everything else. As we can see there, it says Mercury Cougar, and it has a symbol for the cat on the side, Holly for the carburetors, and 68, I believe, is just for the year. And you can just see there on the front left of the car, Holly as well. And so there we have the front of it, and for once it's not entirely damaged. Transit, you can just see there on the right side, the Mercury symbol, sorry for the Cougar, is almost completely hidden. And this is not, it's nice and red. You have 1968 on the front plate and nothing on the back plate unusually. Then we have all our other information, Holly, Ford, and you can just see that the production the 5th day of this year, and then the 15270R is the normal stuff. And as we all know, a lot of these are recastings, so we're just going to be mainly looking for the engine, which is going to be the primary difference. Other than that, it just seems to be cosmetically different. And so that one on screen, the XR-7G 390, is actually one of my favorite ones. It's not my favorite Mercury Cougar. Actually, the green light one I think is the one I like the best. But anyway, so we're going to pop off the case, which everybody gets with every M2 as long as it's not broken in transit. You can just see this one is a little bit rough. But for entry level, it's definitely better to get this than nothing. You can obviously do way worse with Mini GT and everything else. If you do believe you're getting a better model, well, there's just so many ways to damage it. So there you go, popping off the 2 screws, standard way. You can operate a screwdriver, you can pretty much do this. So you can just see there the 2-piece roof, painted white onto the front. That's where we'll start. You can just see there what I was talking about, the Mercury symbol. Sorry, is right there, and then the Cougar itself is on the left side. On the GTE, it'll be actually the cat walking to the left rather than the head symbol. And 1968 hidden headlights, hood scoop. Unfortunately, the auto drivers versions in fact do it better like this, but the hoods don't open. Windshield wipers, colored and etched into the front of the casting. You have the plastic there, nice and easy to see into the cabin. Silver border. Onto the left side, what I was talking about earlier, the Holly symbol. It's fairly easy to read actually, it's not too bad. Performance architecture, I believe. And then once again, Holly, 1968, Mercury Cougar, and there's the cat doing its thing. The seats, unlike the 390, are not in the white leather, they're in the black leather. Door relatively stiff to open. You can just see into there the cabin, which was way easier to see in that one, but otherwise it's fairly the same. Onto the back, we have the dual exhaust, which are actually in fact painted silver where they would lead out. Nothing on the rear license plate, which is unusual because they painted the front license plate. But the entire sections appear to be nice and even, no chips, no dents. 1968 on the top right of the trunk. Everything appears to be in order, and the right side the same as the left side. So now I do believe the gas cap is underneath that, but I'm unsure. And you can just see there a little bit with the door. So this part would have been hidden facing towards the back of it. So it's a very scary thing to bend these things because you will break them. And it's relatively evenly painted, which is great because usually Greenlight and M2, they do this thing where the inside of it is not as well done as the other side. You can just see there, steering wheel, gear shifter, everything else. And so far, unfortunately on the tires, it doesn't have, I guess because it's not licensed, there's no Goodyear, Firestone, or whatever else the company that they used for the tires. Holly, again, once again, 1968, Mercury Cougar. And onto the underside, which I do believe it's almost exactly the same as the other one. You see there, 1968 Cougar, no mention of trim. 2025, there's the two holes for the screws. There's the one to take apart the body. And so just what I mean briefly with the tires, you can just see there, it says Goodyear, and this one does not. The gold metallic paint too, I think looks better. And this one has a gritty feel to it. And this one is just nice and smooth. So they did make some changes. And so the last part, which is what we came here for, which is the opening hood. It's nice and stiff, so it looks almost exactly the same. The 302 engine here, almost. I didn't say exactly. But yeah, it does look pretty much... So what they've done is it's harder to see. But you can just see there the cylinder banks are silver. The air filter and the intake on the right in blue, and then the base of the engine in black. So for this one, everything is the same color, and thus it is much harder to see. So if you want to compare 302 and 390, it is unfortunately very difficult. Although there is, like the radiator, you can see on the earlier one they have painted it black, while on the later one it is painted the same color as the casting outer shell. So they have made some differences in terms of that, really basic stuff. Still looks nice though. Unfortunately, the outer part is actually harder to see on the older one because it is all the same color and in relatively shade. I can't tell too much of a difference between the two, which is unfortunate. It just looks like... Alright, so the pan on this one, you have the center pin and then one outer ring and then the edge. And then this one has just three edges and no pin in the center. So it is definitely different. Looks extremely similar, but it's not. So there you have it. Also the nozzle reaches all the way to the right, where in the 390 it does not. And it does look like the oil pan itself is a little bit smaller in the 390, and you have the cylinder banks reaching all the way past it, while in this one they do not. You can see it just there where they end. Anyway, I'm not an engine expert. All I can say is what I see here. The engines are just slightly different. Despite the 90 cubic inch, 88 cubic inch difference. So there you have it. So if you're looking for a version of the not the Mustang, it's the Mercury Cougar, slightly different than the previous one. It is decorated a little bit better than this one, and there are some changes. Like I said, this one you can see here is gritty. This one here is nice and smooth. Another major difference is obviously the intake for the engines. They are both XR-7Gs, so they actually do share an extremely similar hood setup, and you can just see there they're almost identical in terms of layout, especially with the tie downs. And then everything else appears to be extremely similar as well. So, fans and friends, there we have it. Another Mercury Cougar, which I do believe it's done reasonably well. You won't be as disappointed with this one. Looks alright. And like I said, minor issues with construction. If you're going to put it with display, it's harder to notice because the doors will be open. But you do get everything else with... The hood stays up very well, so you don't have to worry about that. At least on this one. This one here, it does okay. I put the piece of plastic. You can just make this yourself with scissors. Most basic thing in the world. And then obviously on the front of the car, they did do a better job with the Mercury symbol right there. Sorry, the Cougar symbol. It stands out much better than in the old one. Anyway, fans and friends, special release S134 from M.2. Sorry, M2 machines. There you see there the S134. So it's because it's a special release rather than their regular R release. And you can just see there the 13th casting of this year. Anyway, Thanks for watching. This is Thomas from Toronto, and till the next one.